This is Mitch, and welcome to the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. I'm here today with Tye Glover, and we're going to be talking about a unique concept that I haven't heard much about in my 24-year career. He's going to be talking about how to partner with the seller of the house to increase the value of the house and then share some increased, forced appreciation is what we call it around here. So I do need to pay homage to my sponsor, taxfreefuture.com. Please go to taxfreefuture.com. Check out the 37 videos. If you're not investing in a tax-free or tax-deferred environment, a savings account, if you will, then you have no idea the advantages you're leaving on the table. Go to taxfreefuture.com and check out the 37 videos because you will not believe what your financial advisors are not telling you. And we're going to tell you exactly what they're not telling you and why they're not telling you. All right, Tye, I had to get the business, had to pay the bills, if you will. So, do you ever deal in any tax-free retirement plans or IRAs or 401ks?
I haven't done that. I have my own 401k, and obviously that's kind of the whole segue as to how I got into this. You know, so many folks used to have pensions. The pensions are going away now, and folks are forced into the 401ks, which creates a difficult situation for a lot of people, especially when they don't have that.
Well, a lot, they just have to get educated. Of course, they're not going to teach you in school anything that's worth, real money.
Right.
So you have your 401k. It's not that hard to set one up, and anyone can set one up. It's just, what do you do with a small amount of money to grow it into a large amount of money, which is part of what those videos do. I mean, I started all of mine with like $150, and
Gotcha.
I would be embarrassed to even tell you how much they're worth right now because they're worth a lot. But there's things to do about it. That's one of the things we explain. The other thing is, you don't have to buy and sell anything. You can loan your money to me or Tye or someone with a good plan that pledges good collateral or has a tremendous track record, and you can make a rate of return that's really passive. You just put your money out, let your money work. Of course, you need to build it up somehow, and usually how you build things up is to buy something at 50 cents and sell it for $1. You know what I mean? At least do that a few times in a row. Yeah. But it's life altering. I don't know why they don't teach this stuff in the basics of even high school. I mean, it's not that complicated. A high school person can understand how to make a profit and keep it. But so tell us a little bit about your background. Where are you from? You're from like the supply side. Tell me what that is and what you used to do and what you're doing now.
Well, pretty much most of my life, I've been in the supply chain space. So distribution planning, getting product A, how much does a company need to make in order to satisfy, the customer needs. I've worked everywhere from like the telecom sector to the pharmaceuticals. It wasn't until I actually got into the whole question of a divorce, a very difficult one, that the whole concept as far as being able to partner with the homeowner really started to evolve. That was back in 2011, and, going through a really difficult point in my life. I'm having to sell my home simply because it's being divided up as far as the assets were concerned. And I know that my house needs a lot of work because we tore out our kitchen just about 6 months earlier, and that probably caused a divorce in the first place. But in addition,
nothing like a good old remodel to test the bounds of a marriage. Jeez.
It definitely did. It definitely did. And recognizing the fact that now our house could not even, comply with FHA requirements because of all the issues associated with it, I started getting these offers from lenders or from wholesalers and so forth that were really far below what I knew the property to be worth, especially in the neighborhood that I live in. And so that's kind of where my head started spinning around trying to figure out a way out of that situation.
Well, sometimes invention comes right out of necessity, or most of the time, huh? So you've got this problem. So you're actually talking about being on one side and partnering with sellers on the other side, but right now the tables are kind of turned. You are the homeowner. You're trying to find a buyer flipper to partner with, or remodeler flipper. So are you going to go with a remodeler flipper, or are you just going to partner with a remodeler?
The goal was to partner with up the street from me, literally 3 doors down, the same identical footprint as my house, 1892 Victorian. The house was being renovated. Somebody was actually flipping that property, got it for a song in the area of like $150,000, and they were adding about 150 into it for a resale of like 579. So they were making a lot of money off that property. And I started looking at the fact that the homeowner, who I'd known for years, was walking away pretty much with very little as far as the property was concerned, the value of the property. And so I do look at working with actual flippers itself. They understand how to get into the property, how to add the property, and they're in it for a profit. But I think the way I've changed things and the way I look at things is completely different orientation from most flippers or investors, wholesalers and lenders, because I am coming from the standpoint of looking at it from the homeowner and investor standpoint. I don't really consider the wholesaler or the lender into the deal. I think the homeowner and the actual flipper are the ones that are adding value to the property. So that's my orientation based on my experience.
Okay, so I think you probably will be able to find the right amount of customers. I don't know, thinking about how would you brand that? How would you brand like, hi, my name is so-and-so company, and we'll help fix up your house before you sell it so you can get the maximum price. I don't know exactly how you brand that, but I'm sure there's a lot of people out there in that boat. And you'd be onto something there. I feel like my gut instinct says, but my only issue is like, if I was going to do that and I was going to put $150,000 into someone's house, or even $25,000 into someone's house, I would want to own the house technically and agree to share the profit upside if and when that happens, so that my money couldn't get shut down in someone else's house. It's been seen in my industry where, people have bought a house on a lease option and they've really fixed it up really nice. And then when it comes time to exercise the option, the seller, being a jerk, says, well, you can't afford the house now. You fixed it up too nice. I don't want that table to turn and say like, I partner with you to put 50,000 in your house to make it worth an extra 100 grand. So I can make 25 and you can make an extra 25. And then they look at me and go, well, the house is really nice now. I don't want to sell. I think I'm just going to stay. I don't want to get, how are you going to stop that?
Well, we actually work with it from, we kind of take on a similar idea as a wholesaler in that we secure the property. We make sure that, in fact, the value is added to the property. We make sure there's no one living in the property so that you can't get that squatter's situation or position. But we feel pretty confident in the actual positioning of our legal agreements to make sure that we're protecting the house and the investors' investment.
But at the end of the day, with your paperwork, you'll have the right to say so when, that the house will sell and for how much. And
exactly. All that's agreed upon. You have to walk into the deal knowing exactly what I believe the property to be worth today. You have to know what I can get the property to and also how much I'm going to invest. The last thing is you have to know what percentage we're going to be sharing of that profit that comes out of the property. And you basically agree upon that with the actual homeowner itself. So you're really securing a perfect understanding as to who's going to get what out of the deal.
I see it as a pretty easy sale up front. I just see your paperwork and your explanation, your disclosures have to be pretty strong, because if there's going to be an issue with this, it'll be at the end, especially if the house doesn't sell for quite as much as you predicted, or, the expenses to get it to a closing is a little bit more than you predicted. There's a lot of variables there. And that's hard for me to even hit the numbers on a rehab, and I've been doing it 24 years. It seems like there's always a cost overrun and the profit margins are a little smaller than what we figured on paper on day one. It's always a shrinking profit number. So, do you have a name of your company yet?
Our company's name is Invest Out. So we're available at Invest Out. Yes, sir. Invest Out, because we're taking that orientation of the homeowner again. We recognize the fact that for a lot of investors, they really can't get into the head of a homeowner who's going through a difficult situation. And we know that everybody has life challenges in their life. I mean, that's part of life. And so we're really focusing on those ones who know that, again, their property is worth more than what they're being told. And they need to, not necessarily just want to. A lot of homeowners want to sell. Some folks are being forced. They need to sell their property. And we just believe that they deserve as much as they can get out of their home. In addition to that flipper, again, whoever's going in there and adding value, we believe there's a win-win relationship that can be created by partnering the two together.
Yeah, so you have a white paper you want to give away. It's called Flip to Partnering in 90 Days.
Yes, sir.
If you guys want to go to reinvestorsummit.com/Tye, Tye. That's Tye Glover's name.
Yes, sir.
And you can go there, you get this white paper again, Flip to Partnering in 90 Days. Learn, he's going to be following the option of partnering with the seller. I take it your seller has to be out of the house, of course, right?
Correct. We want them out of the house. There's a number of different ways, and we've looked at prices or at least investments as far as little as $10,000, for example, to be able to add that cosmetic value to the home. There's obviously an opportunity for a flipper to be able to negotiate with that homeowner, but my preference would be to make sure that the person's out of the house to further secure the property.
Yeah,
but I mean, obviously,
it's to leaving them in the house because that's just going to be problems, and then if anything's missing, you know what I mean? I think you got to take possession of the house, even maybe change the locks so that if your contractors are leaving some tools or anything in there, there's no question,
I would agree with you.
I guess the house will be insured already still by the owner, right?
Yeah, that's one of the things that we're looking at. Exactly. I mean, because the homeowner obviously is still making payments on the mortgage or owns the property outright, they're responsible for all those different aspects. So in total, the actual investor should be spending less money when it comes to that property because, in fact, they are not having to go and secure the property. They're not having to finance it. They're not having to pay the monthly fees associated with the upkeep of the property. That's still falling underneath the realm of the homeowner. But again, it's one of those negotiative opportunities for that homeowner and that investor to be able to discuss who's going to take on what.
Yeah. All right. So what part of the country are you living in right now?
We're in the Philadelphia area, so we're looking at actually targeting initially this Northeast corridor or region, going up to New Jersey, down to Baltimore area, and even DC.
Yeah. All right. So you're in a place where the houses are pretty expensive, aren't they?
True.
Which is a good place to be with this strategy, I imagine, because if you're dealing in cheaper houses, it's hard to clear enough room for two people to be happy. But when you're in more expensive houses, there's bigger profit upswing opportunities. Have you ever heard the word forced appreciation?
Yes, I have.
Okay, that's kind of what you're doing, right? You're forcing appreciation.
True.
By doing an addition or doing a remodel.
And that's what investors or flippers do all the time, and I think one of the reasons why we really like the Northeast corridor here is because 44% of the homes were built before 1969. So you've got aged inventory.
So there's a guy that I talked to in Austin, Texas, who had not the same theory, but he was a forcing appreciation. But what he did was he found these well-to-do neighborhoods that were allowing you to put an extra structure in the backyard, like a mother-in-law suite, and they had limits. Like they couldn't be 2-story, they could only be single-story, and they could only be like a maximum of 800 square feet. So he went and added 800 square feet to everybody's lot that he could. So he's looking for these lots or looking for these, he goes to MLS, he was looking for the opportunity where there was room on the lot to add another structure and where the house was either up front far enough or back far enough that there was room, or that he could pick up an extra lot next to the house that was there and then try to buy the house and the lot to do the extension. And he was doing really well with that theory because he was able to find a lot of houses within a certain kind of neighborhood where he could buy them and pay almost market price. Of course, the better you buy, the better the deal always, but he could almost pay market price and then go in and put in the 800-foot structure and still make, $75,000, even if he didn't buy the house at a discount. If he bought the house at a discount, he could make more. So I don't know. Have you thought about that exact scenario, adding the mother-in-law suites to properties?
No, we hadn't really thought about that specifically because we're hoping that, and our idea is that I was driving for Uber and Lyft for a little bit, a while back, and I had an opportunity to go into any number of neighborhoods and talk to a whole lot of people. I'm a talker. I talk to all the different passengers, and just hearing some of their stories. When you talk about what you're doing and how applicable their model is, or how applicable the model could be to their situation, I've spoken with parents who have children who are special needs children. They had to go and structure the house to be able to support the child with a wheelchair. And now you're having to tear all that out of the home to be able to prepare it for the next homeowner. You can think the same thing about retiring or transitioning in place for the baby boomers who now are moving, transitioning out of their houses, and their houses have to be reconditioned. So there's one specific area that we were looking at even here in the Philadelphia area is the fact that you can get, as a homeowner, money to renovate your home, low cost money to renovate your home, because the city's trying to get people to not move out of their neighborhoods. Now, here's an opportunity for an investor to come in there and leverage the money, the loan that you can get from the actual property itself, do the renovation, and still the homeowner can actually move out of the property and get that extra value while getting the city to finance a deal.
Well, what kind of money is the city offering? Do you know?
The city was offering, I believe, in the area of like 75% as far as the actual cost associated with the refi for the home, just to be able to help those homeowners add the value to their homes and stay in those homes.
I know, but do you know what kind of interest they were charging or how long the loan?
That's an area I have to really dig down into. We haven't focused in on it as of yet. We just see it as an opportunity.
Yeah. I've tried some of those government programs myself. Sometimes they're more work than they are. I just rather pay the regular price, because by the time I get jumping through their hoops, it's just too much.
I can see that, but we think of it from the standpoint of even the companies that go in there and do the paperwork for the solar panels to go on the roof and so forth. Sometimes you can find that path that's really streamlined and make it that much more simple.
And I do want to point that out. We were talking a little bit before the show, and I had my ideas about what would complicate this, but I always ran away from the complication. Sometimes when there's complication, if you'll go right to it and try to simplify the process, you can get through the complication a different way and streamline it. So exactly. I think, you don't know unless you roll up your sleeves and get nose to nose with every issue and figure out what you can do. And when this works, I imagine it's a really beautiful thing, huh?
We believe so. I know it would have added a tremendous amount in my pocket. The deal down the street with the house I had just mentioned, the woman who sold could have walked away with an additional $179,000 from that deal, from the profit that was created from the renovation. And the homeowner or the investor still would have gotten a 90% ROI if they had negotiated that 50-50 split. So we think it can be a game changer from the standpoint of really, instead of the push strategy that's used right now to get homes through all the wholesalers and the yellow tags and so forth, we think this could be a pull strategy just by marketing directly on Facebook. Homeowners want to sell and get as much money as they can if you can control the emotion, the involvement, as well as feel or deal with that need that the homeowner has. Everyone wants to make as much money as they can off of an asset.
Well, you're going to create some serious competition for house flippers if you make this work, for sure. If you can get a reputation for this, because you're a better choice for the seller, probably in 98 or 95% of the time. You know what I mean? The only thing is if they don't have enough time to even consider a remodel, then the house buyers, the house flipper / investor is going to win. Remodels take time. And sometimes these people don't have time, so that's why they sell for the prices they do and in a hurry.
We're not really a good fit for the ones that are actually losing the property. There's no equity in the property. It really does us no good if there's no equity in the property. It has to be something that actually there is value still left in the property. But we believe our primary target will be with the wholesalers. I believe that there's an opportunity to be able to really remove them from the whole market, this specific area, because they really don't add any value to the process. They add cost on, and they take away the profit from the homeowners and from the actual flippers itself.
All right, so we're talking to Tye Glover. I want you to go to REInvestorSummit.com /Tye, TYE, and get your free white paper, Flip to Partnering in 90 Days. Man, it's been nice talking with you, Tye. Anything you want to say to the folks out there maybe before we wrap it up?
No, I just wanted to, thank you for the opportunity to be able to speak with you. It's a pleasure. We think that this is an innovative model. We think its time has come, especially as we move into more difficult economic times. People need that financial mobility, and that's what we're hoping to really help them obtain, as well as a strong ROI for the actual investor.
Good. I want you to stay in touch with me and let me know how it goes. Get me some case studies out there, all right?
Definitely will, and truly appreciate it again. Thank you very much.
Back on, and we'll let everybody know how it's going for you.
Sounds great. Look forward to the opportunity.
All right, Tye. This is Mitch Stephen with the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. I'd like to thank all the listeners for stopping by to get you some Tye Glover and learn about the idea of partnering with your seller to help increase their profit. And I'd also like to thank taxfreefuture.com for sponsoring this episode. Please go to taxfreefuture.com, watch the 37 videos out there, little video vignettes, and learn why your financial advisor is not telling you some things. And you won't believe it. There's a lot of things they're not telling you, and we're going to explain that and why that's happening. All right, my friends, this is Mitch Stephen. This is Tye Glover, and we're out of here. Bye.
Thank you. Take care. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity, sir.